You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, you running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, don't murder by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Warning. This episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts I'm retelling you were presented to me by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My descriptions of the crime scenes, what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I am not Woody Overton. It's Cyndi, but I wanted to hop on and say a few words before we get into today's episode. And I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for the outpouring of love and support you've shown during this incredibly hard time for the Overton family. Losing Woody's dad has been definitely a deep, deep, deep heartbreak for our whole family, and from the funeral to all the quiet moments that have followed, your kind words and prayers and messages have meant the world to us. So truly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you on behalf of Woody and his family. So many of you have stepped in such beautiful ways, and I want to give a special thank you to those of you who sent in your own stories. Not only are they funny and fascinating, but they've helped me so much by giving me the space to grieve as well, while still being able to keep the show going. I didn't have to record, I just had to edit and produce, and that gift of time has meant more than I can say. So today's episode features two listener-submitted stories, one from P.T. Allen, which y'all have grown to know his stories, and I'm so very grateful for the stories that he has sent in. And then we have another lifer who has asked to remain anonymous. And PT's wife has also sent in a story, which I'll be sharing with y'all on a future episode. And it's a good one, and I know y'all are going to love it. So thank you again, lifers. Y'all are truly the heartbeat of our community, and we are so grateful for you. We would not have anything without you. And right now, just the outpouring from the community has really kept us going. So without further ado, let's dive into today's stories.
Good afternoon from sunny coastal Georgia. It is a beautiful day, 79 degrees, just a few little white cotton ball clouds in the sky. If you've never visited the Golden Isles of Georgia, please make the effort. This is a beautiful place. First of all, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing and liking. Keep the Overton family in your prayers during this difficult time. This is still P.T. Allen, also now recognized as Pablo the Captain Allen, and that's a story for another date. Today I would like to address something I've mentioned a couple of times, my preponderance to get into mischief while on duty. So we can either call this one mischief on duty or police brutality, because we're pretty brutal to one another. This is back in my early days as a local police officer in a small town. 4,000 people in the town, which on a football game night or a weekend could quadruple pretty quickly. I did not have custody of my beautiful twin daughters at that point. Just had them on weekends. I was just a year or so after the divorce, and they had just turned 6 years old. At that point, we didn't have take-home cars. This is many, many years ago, over 30 years ago. And after returning them to their mothers for the week, I started getting my gear together, and I never left a firearm out. I always secured my firearms. In my holster, one of my beautiful daughters had stuck a small Super Soaker water pistol. Saturday afternoon and Sunday after church, before taking them home, we had an epic water gun battle in the front yard of the little shack that I lived in. And sure enough, my gun belt was laying on the floor beside the couch with an empty holster, and one of the girls stuck that in my holster. So strapping on my gun belt, I thought, oh, that fits pretty nice. You know, this information may come in handy in the immediate future. So leaving the Super Soaker in my holster, of course, I filled it up full of water and put my duty weapon between the waistband of my pants and my shirt, and I went to work. About dark, there was a call, and one of the other officers, he and I started out as the best of friends, but for some reason he got some kind of resentment against me, and I saw my opportunity. I unsnapped the holster, I drew, and I fired several streams of water onto his zipper, which makes him look like he had just peed his pants and was going to take, 25, 30 minutes to dry out. Other officers thought it was hilarious. I am glad that I was not the cashier at Walmart that night, because they had a rush on small Super Soaker pistols that would fit in our duty holsters on our gun belts. And the water gun war had begun. It got to the point that some of us, including the legendary Lincoln and I, shall we say, entered the equipment room where we were not allowed to be. It was locked, but we got in anyway, got some old holsters, and had our water pistols cross-draw on the opposite side of our regular issued duty weapons. It would be bad enough if it was just the police officers of that small department, but it spread like wildfire. The next police department, the next city, was separated from the city I worked simply by the yellow line going down the middle of a street. They started joining us in the water gun war, and then it spread to the county deputies. This went on for weeks. Finally, the chief that I've described before, he called us all into a meeting at the beginning of the day shift. So all of us guys that were on night shift, we were exhausted, tired, dirty, sweaty, called us all into a meeting and demanded that if he didn't, and the sheriff was with him too, and all the deputies, if we didn't stop this nonsense immediately, he was going to call in the state police to control us. Now, I got a great respect for our Georgia State Patrol, have since I was young, and that might be a story for another time. But I want to meet the guys who are tough enough to control this group of hooligans that we had. So we started another practical joke war. Putting away our water guns, we actually escalated it. So I'm on night shift that night, and I come in to the police department, and behind the police department was the back side of a convenience store facing our parking lot where our patrol cars were. So patrol cars were pretty much hidden from public view. And I'm the only person on earth that had a key to my patrol car. I sign in, go 10-8, which means notify everybody that I'm on duty. I walk out to my patrol car, and oh my heavens. They had used a Slim Jim, I think, to break into my patrol car. The entire inside of the patrol car was wrapped in toilet paper. They rolled it. So I go to put my key into the lock to open the driver's side door, and I see a length of white string, about an inch and a half, sticking out of the driver's side door jamb. Oh my heavens, that's probably a trigger to a bomb. So I go around to the other side of the patrol car, open the passenger side door, get all of the toilet paper out, wad it up, and put it in the dumpster. They had also put an entire pack of menthol cigarettes stuck into all the air conditioner vents on the dash of the car. So I had to remove those, throw those away. At that point, I found the bomb. I disabled it and stuck it in my pocket so I could use it against somebody else later on that night. And heaven only knows why, I inhaled. Yeah, something stank to high heavens. They had put an open tin of catfish bait underneath the driver's seat of my patrol car. So I had to take that out also and put it in the dumpster. At this point, I'm thinking, oh, this is the practical joke. This is the prank of epic proportions. It's going to take me a while to get these guys back. I had to go back into the police station, grab the biggest can of air freshener I possibly could, hose down the inside of my patrol car for me to even be able to ride in it. And I did have the windows down, both front windows down, all night that night until that stench faded. But as soon as I hosed it down with air freshener, a call comes out over the radio. 2 females in a 10-10, which is a fight, in front of movie gallery. Now that tells you how long ago this was. There was actually something called movie gallery where you went to rent VHS tapes to watch movies. So I jump into my car, I fire that baby up, and I squeal out of there in a cloud of blue smoke. I drive down the alley past the convenience store, hang a right, again, blue smoke from tires squealing, and I'm headed to movie gallery as fast as I can. One of the day shift officers, which I will only address as 19, God rest his soul, he was killed in a off-duty automobile crash several years ago. I hear him call Lincoln on the radio, on our talk around channel that I didn't think anybody else could hear. 19 to 13. 13 says, go ahead. 19 says, do you have that UFO in sight? A UFO? Criminy, they have got me again. I never bothered to look at the back of my patrol car. Tied to the back bumper was one of those 4-foot-tall inflatable Castrol oil bottles that you used to see out in front of convenience stores and service stations. As I'm headed towards movie gallery, lights and sirens blaring, that thing is spinning behind me as I go down the roadway. I got to pull into movie gallery, jump out to the movie gallery parking lot, jump out, and stop this fight and still look professional, even though I had the Castrol oil blimp following me into the parking lot. It worked out well for me, though, because the two women that were fighting were laughing at me so hard they were no longer aggressive or combative towards one another. Neither one wanted to pursue charges, so I got them to separate and promised me that they would not fight again until day shift the next day, when Lincoln and 19 could deal with it. So much more mischief was coming. I tried one prank that kind of misfired. I got a quart of chocolate ice cream from the grocery store and busted up a bunch of X-Lax chocolate flavored laxative and stuck it in the ice cream and put it in the freezer in the officer's room at the police station. I thought either Lincoln or 19 is going to steal that, they're going to eat it, and they're going to spend their whole shift on the toilet. No. It was the shift lieutenant that helped himself to the ice cream, and he in fact had to call in sick and go home. Thankfully, nobody ever ratted me out on that one. So now the pranks are escalating. We had a part-time officer in the neighboring town that was also full-time Army National Guard. He was the sergeant over the local National Guard Armory. Lincoln and 19 one day broke into the National Guard Armory through a locked door. Heaven only knows how they did it. Snuck up on this other officer / National Guard sergeant, grabbed him, stripped him down to his skivvies, duct taped him to a chair, locked the door behind them, and left him there for his commanding officer to find.
Women, have you ever had one of those days where everything just feels off? Like you're stuck in the middle of a mystery and you can't solve it? Your energy's crashing, your mood's swinging like a suspect in an interrogation room, and no matter what you do, nothing adds up. Well, Cyndi has been there, and sometimes the real culprit is hiding in the shadows, is hormonal imbalance. Here's a twist. More than 1,000 hormone disruptors are living rent-free in our world, lurking in our food, our air, even our skincare. And when hormones go haywire, it can feel like you're trapped in your own personal true crime story, especially during premenopause or menopause. But here's the good news. This is the one case you can crack with Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth. All you need to do is take their free 2-minute quiz. You'll answer a few simple questions. Just like that, you'll get a personalized recommendation to help bring your hormones back into balance. No long investigation required. What I love is that Hormone Harmony is made with adaptogens, natural science-backed herbal extracts that help your body adapt to stress and hormonal changes. Whether it's PMS, hot flashes, brain fog, or sleepless nights, this product is designed to help you feel like you again. Over 40,000 glowing reviews don't lie, and neither do the results. 86% of women say they started losing weight. 77% say their mood improved. And the biggest win, 100% say they feel like themselves again. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com, code RLRC for 15% off today.
So now it is getting brutal. The sergeant called me and asked for assistance to get retribution on 19 and Lincoln. And I thought, oh yeah, I got just the plan. I knew their exact route that they were going to do every day. I knew where they got out on patrol and walked around and what they did, where they were. And in their route, they would go through a strip mall parking lot, around McDonald's, make sure everything's good there, check on the employees, go out to the Walmart around that parking lot, make sure nobody's breaking into cars, go by the school, make sure everything's peaceful there. So I told him the exact route that these two officers are going to take. So my thought was, hey, this is a great time for you to put a banana in a tailpipe or a potato in the exhaust pipe, and we're going to have some fun. Oh no, that is not what happened. National Guard Sergeant / part-time police officer, he took my advice, but he didn't do anything to the automobile except attach a sign to it. Now, if you know 19, good guy, super guy, wonderful wife, sweet as she could be. However, he was the most homophobic person on the planet. I've never met anybody that was that bad. I don't care what your lifestyle is. What you do in the privacy of your own home is your own business. I have several friends that have a very different lifestyle than I do, and that's cool. So during the morning, they make their first round, and about their fourth or fifth round around the city, they're leaving the strip mall where the grocery store and the McDonald's is. They're stopped at a traffic light beside the McDonald's. And this little old lady blows her horn behind Lincoln and 19's patrol car. They were riding double that day. And blows their horn, and 19 starts to get out of the vehicle. This little old lady hobbles up with her cane, blue hair, kind of bent over, and she says, "Officers, did you know there was a sign on the back of your patrol car?" And 19 says, "No, ma'am, I didn't." And she says, "And furthermore, did you know it says, 'I'm gay and proud of it'?" At that point, Lincoln had already gotten out of the patrol car, reaches over, grabs 19 by the hand, and says, "It's okay, sweetheart. Everybody knows now." 19 was mad about that for months. So later I learned that 19 was the culprit behind the bomb, the toilet paper, the catfish bait, and the castor oil bottle and the toilet paper in my patrol car. So I devised a plan. He also had a part-time job. There was some construction going on in the county, and he was on day shift with the police department and would do night shift at the construction site. Just security, make sure nobody stole building materials. So I started working on a plan. I'm on night shift too, remember? He's a day shift officer. So I do reconnaissance on this construction site. And I sneak up to the construction office trailer where 19 is supposed to be standing watch. And he has his feet up on the desk. He's got the television on. His gun belt is unbuckled. His pants are unbuckled because apparently he's just had a big meal and he is dead asleep. Aha. This is information I can use tomorrow night. So remember, I was in the United States Navy. I was not a tough guy. I was a medic that attended to tough guys. And those people, God bless them, they will spend their time. They'll teach you anything you want to know. They help me with my marksmanship. They help me with hand-to-hand combat. These are just absolutely fantastic people. And I asked a couple of times about things that go boom. So they taught me a little bit. just enough to get myself in trouble, not anything to cause any major damage. So while I'm on night shift one night, I had been collecting materials. I had gotten an empty paint can out of the dumpster at the local hardware store. I had some cannon fuse that you light with a match, like they used on the old, pre-Civil War cannons. And I had purchased some chemicals. And I mixed them up as best as I could to make a loud noise, but not do any damage to anything. So my plan is, I've got about 100 feet of this cannon fuse. I have made my device. I have glued the cannon fuse to the top of the paint can, filled it with my chemistry experiment, and I'm going to put it underneath the dumpster at the construction site, which is maybe 75 feet from the trailer, and I'm going to light it, and that fuse burns pretty slowly, so that gives me time to be about a quarter of a mile away when that thing detonates. I made sure 19 was asleep in his chair with a movie going and couldn't hear me rustling around out there. I shoved the can underneath the dumpster, coiled the fuse all the way out to 100 feet, lit it with my handy dandy Zippo lighter, and I take off. And then I think, oh, you know what? I got to watch this. So I turned around, and I'm probably 80, 90 yards away, and I thought that fuse would take forever. Because when your adrenaline's flowing, things kind of go in slow motion. And all of a sudden, it didn't go kaboom like I wanted it to. It went varoom. It lifted that full-size construction dumpster. This is kind of goes on the back of a semi now. It lifted it about 3 feet off the ground. Sheetrock, plywood, nails, pieces of scrap lumber go flying everywhere. And sure enough, 19 runs out of the trailer to see what had just happened. The average law enforcement gun belt, I think, weighs well over 25 pounds. That drug 19's pants to his ankles, and as he's trying to leave the trailer, his ankles get bound up, and he fell down 3 steps, face planting into the dirt, and got a black eye. 19 did not ever do any more pranks on me, but I never admitted that I was the one that did it. So that, until this very recording, has remained a mystery. So during all of this, Lincoln got blamed for some of his mischief and things that he actually did do. And he got put on night shift with me. And unlike he and 19, we rode in separate vehicles so we could cover the city better. And one night, in the middle of town, in the old shopping district, where the old brick and mortar stores were, I would get out in the middle of the night and go check businesses, shine my flashlight in there, make sure nobody's in there robbing them, make sure everything's secure. One of the local attorneys had a bad habit of leaving his back door unlocked, so I'd make sure no one had broken in and make sure his office was secure, because he had a lot of sensitive files in there. And one night, Lincoln decided to join me. And sure enough, we're walking down a back alley, checking back doors of businesses to make sure nobody's tried to break in. And to our surprise, there we find a possum. Yes, the marsupial, the mammal, the thing that hangs from trees by its tail. Yeah, a trash rat. So Lincoln and I cornered the possum, and we both moved in very carefully, captured the possum without it getting harmed or without getting bitten. Now, you got to remember, This is at the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. Crack cocaine was just a terrible thing and ruining lives right and left. All of our officers had been campaigning with the chief, the assistant chief, the city council to help us get a canine, a dog, trained in the detection of crack cocaine. I felt like it was a necessity. No one else, or correction, all the officers felt like it was a necessity. Nobody else even seemed to care. We even appealed to the lead person of the city council. And I'm not going to say that she didn't like police officers. She just didn't like police officers who happened to be of a lighter skin tone than her own. So I tell you that to tell you this. We went around the alley back there and we found a length of nylon rope. So I fashioned a leash for the possum. And we led that possum around on a leash. She would walk right beside us and keep up with us. We wound up knocking on the door of the grocery store. The stockman let us in and gave us a couple of cans of cat food to feed the possum. She did not look healthy or well fed. We named that possum after the member of the city council who did not like light-skinned cops and didn't think we needed a drug dog. We kept the possum for 3, maybe 4 days. Oh, we had found a rabbit cage at the local Goodwill store, and we kept her in that, and she got well fed, and she started looking healthier and cleaner. And one night, Lincoln decided to take a photograph of me with the drug possum. And I thought nothing of it. Remember, this is back in the days when we had disposable cameras that used 35 millimeter film. No big deal. It's not like there's no such thing as the internet back then, so it's not like you're going to put it on Facebook, Snapgram, or InstaChat, or any of that stuff. So I thought nothing of it. Lincoln gave me a copy, and I have already forwarded a copy of that to Miss Cyndi Overton if she wants to put it on your Patreon page to prove what I'm telling you is true. What I did not realize is that someone, and I still suspect Lincoln to this day, leaked that photograph. He had double copies made. He linked that photograph to the local newspaper and gave them the story that since there was not enough money in the budget for a drug dog to help with the crack cocaine epidemic, that we had been resourceful and trained a drug possum. The very day that the paper went out, all chaos ensued, and we were given summary punishment. Everybody got punished, even those people who had absolutely nothing to do with it. But the worst punishment came on me, because I'm the one that is shown in that photograph holding the infamous drug possum. I had to take a break and review that last recording, make sure I didn't need to add or delete anything, and yeah, there is a lot I needed to add. I had no idea how difficult making a podcast would be, or even making a recording would be. I tried it, and I was a dismal failure. I have all the respect in the world for Woody and Miss Cyndi being able to get this information out there. This is a hard job. I had no idea. So let's continue on with Mischief on duty. And I'm going to tell a story first, let you know how things go in law enforcement. One night, one morning, it's probably about 4 a.m. My shift ended at 6. I'd been on since 6 p.m. the previous evening, tired, starving, sweaty, dirty, and myself and another local police officer were starving. So we go to one of the 2 all-night restaurants that are available. We had 2 choices, Huddle House or Waffle House. Now, for those of you not in the southern United States, that is Southern Hibachi. Yeah, you can get eggs, you can get hash browns, covered, smothered, scattered, and loaded. You can get bacon, country ham, which, if you don't have enough sodium in your diet, that is a perfect way to increase the sodium content. And this particular night, this other officer and I decide to go to Huddle House. And we meet up, and we walk in. The place is absolutely empty. Not a soul. And we sit down, and there's no server, and there's no cook. Wow. Okay. We sit there for a while, and, hey, I need a cup of coffee. I got 2 more hours on this shift, and I'm about to fall asleep sitting up. So I pour myself and the other officer a cup of coffee, and still nobody comes out. And it occurs to us, holy heavens, this place is getting robbed. That is not good. So he and I draw our weapons, move very carefully behind the counter, past the griddle, where all our food would have been prepared that night, and using my best tactical advantage that I could, I decided to go first. If anybody's going to catch a bullet, it's going to be me. It's not going to be my partner. And I peer through the window of the prep room door where they do other preparation stuff, and it looks like there's a commotion going on in there. And I gave the other officer the danger sign, the hand signals that we had devised, and I ease that door open, and he eases behind me, and sure enough, the server, a female, was on her back on the prep table, and the cook was banging her like a screen door in a hurricane. Yes. So we ease backwards very gently, not to disturb, and frankly, after what happened on that prep table tonight, I really don't want to eat anything from there. So we didn't even finish our coffee. I left a few dollars on the table to pay for what little coffee we did drink, and we decided to go to Waffle House instead. And we had a great meal. So about 4 months later, same officer and I are on duty, and we go into Waffle House. And again, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe later. We're both starving. We've been on duty since 6 o'clock the evening before. Tired, sweaty, dirty, hungry. And walk in, and again, there's nobody in the restaurant. So we get to thinking, ooh, maybe this server is on the prep table having relations with the cook like the last time. And I'm sorry to say in front of this, and I'm sorry to say this in front of my wife, but the girl was a little, let's say, top heavy. Pretty hefty up there. Yeah. Big center of balance up on top. And I was in a relationship at the time. I had no romantic interest in anybody, but gosh, I'd just like to get a glimpse of those rascals just one time. And the other officer agreed. So we snuck back very carefully, quietly and ease the door open. Well, there's the server and the cook on their knees, hands on their head, being held at gunpoint. The place was getting robbed. Yeah. You remember how skillfully Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show removed his firearm from his holster, fumbling with it? Oh yeah, that looked perfect compared to what I did. One of the gunmen had a sawed-off 12-gauge single-shot shotgun. The other one had a 6-inch barrel 38 caliber revolver. They were robbing the Waffle House in the middle of the night. So since then, if there's nobody in the Waffle House at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's time to go somewhere else. So I tell you all that, once again, to tell you this. Kind of sound like Ron White, the comedian, don't I? I bet everybody's wondering, whatever happened to the bomb? Yeah, the bomb that 19 and Lincoln put in my patrol car. Remember again, I don't know a whole lot of demolitions, just what the tough guys that I helped in the Navy taught me. And again, if you cure their hangovers, if you keep certain transmittable diseases off their medical record, they'll teach you anything you want to know, because their wife didn't find out about the transmittable conditions. So I examined this little bomb, and it wasn't enough to hurt anybody unless you detonated it while it was in your closed fist. Yeah, you're going to lose a finger or two. But it was just designed to make a really, really loud noise and scare the heck out of somebody. So the night of the castor oil bottle incident, I had stuck that in my pocket and was waiting on somebody else to use it on. Well, that night, we happened to decide to dine at Waffle House again. Before the robbery incident. So, I got a plan. I got some duct tape in the trunk of my patrol car, and I got another officer with me, Lincoln, and I called 2 more deputies, and that is as many people as going to fit in a booth. So then I call an officer from the neighboring town, which is just not even an eighth of a mile across the border for him to come to eat at Waffle House with us. I call him. I take that explosive device, the string that was tied to it, and tape it to the side of the booth, the seat of the booth, on one end, and tape the string with duct tape to the other side of the booth. And what's he going to do? Yep, he walks right in there and sits down at the booth opposite us so we could talk, and kapow. I believe that was 1993, and that particular local police officer has not spoken to me since. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Thank you, and forgive me, I'm not a professional podcaster. I've got no idea what I'm doing. I'm just recalling this stuff off the cuff. Oh, pray for the Overton family. We send our earnest prayers and condolences from the Allen family. Keep liking and sharing, and by all means, hashtag Justice for Haley. Have a great night. God bless you.
Hey lifers, what's going on? This is Sam, aka She Ain't Me. Thought I would hop on and share a little story with y'all today, since Cyndi and Woody have given us the awesome opportunity to share stories with one another. A little bit about myself. I am a lifer, like the rest of you. I've been listening to Woody since probably about 2018 or so. I don't know. It's been a really, really long time. I don't regret one second of it. Learned a lot. laughed a lot, cried a little bit. So yeah, I'm a product of the Department of Corrections. My dad is a lifetime correctional officer. Like, he literally was in corrections before they had uniforms or academies. Yeah, that long. So, needless to say, I grew up and I wanted to be just like my dad, and I did some time in the DOC myself. Not the bloody Angola where he retired from, but not too far from it. And the story I want to tell y'all today, it's really, really short, but it's kind of unique in that I never thought it would happen to me. But most of the things in life, you don't really ever think they'll happen to you until after the fact. So I was working and it was hot. It was like August. And if you're not from Louisiana, it gets like hotter than fish grease down here in the summertime, especially in a prison. Super, super, super hot. Like, it's indescribable. And if you're not from here and you're not acclimated to the elements, it will kick your dick in the dirt. Sorry, I said what I said. So anyway, I'm at work one day and I was working a gate. It's called a gate on the walk, just monitoring offender traffic. And I had basically, you're outside 12 hours a day. You don't have an air conditioner to go into. Even if you work in a dorm, it's not an AC. You might have a fan, but it's stifling. You were lucky if you worked outside. The only thing, you don't have a bathroom outside. And in that Louisiana heat, if you're not drinking, you're going to dehydrate quick. So yeah, I had to drink my water all day. So eventually I had to go inside to the dorm to pee. So I threw my keys to a fellow officer who was available to watch the yard for a little bit. Ran inside the dorm, using the officer's restroom. And while I'm doing that, I hear people hollering my name. Like, Sarge, Sarge. And I'm like thinking, what the hell? I can't even come here and take a piss. Like, this is like worse than being at home, right? So I hurry up, come out of the bathroom, and I see all these inmates gathered around this one inmate on the ground. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Well, dude had passed out. Like, he was unconscious, literally out. And these people, my fellow officers, they knew that, hey, she went to nursing school. Yeah, I went to nursing school. I didn't graduate from nursing school. Like, I think I went until I had to petition for clinicals. And then I figured out that that was not the life for me, especially become a single mom at the time. So made a definite life-changing decision at that point. But nevertheless, they thought, hey, she's got college education. Maybe she could help this guy. So I go over there and I start accessing the situation. So telling the inmates, I'm like, what did he take? What did he take? Because I'm thinking he OD'd. He took something, or somebody gave him a hot shot. Something is going on, but I'm not seeing anything. And then I figure it out. A little bit earlier in the day, there was this dude laying down in the middle of the walk. Like, literally in the middle of the walk. He was just laying down on the concrete, and I told him to get his ass up. Well, this was the same guy. And then it hit me. The poor dude, he was just extremely overheated. Suffering from a heat stroke, heat exhaustion, I don't know. He was out. So I'm like, what the hell? So I have all these inmates around me, and I'm like, take his clothes off now. Because I couldn't do it all by myself. I was like 120 pounds soaking wet. And they're like, no, Sarge, if we take his clothes off, he's gonna catch a charge, you're gonna write him up. If you don't know what they were referring to. In the penal system, you can still catch a charge. And one of their big things that they would like to do is expose themselves, especially to a female officer. I'm like, I'm telling you, if you don't take his clothes off right now, you're going to catch a charge. So at that point, they complied. Got the dude naked. They got him all, naked as we could get. He was literally in his birthday suit, getting eyes, trying to cool them down very, very slowly. And if you're wondering, well, where were the medics? What was going on? Well, the part of prison I was at, it was the bad part. And they kept it away from everywhere for a reason. So naturally, it was going to take any medics, any other officers, time to get there, even in the best conditions. This just happened to happen right around the time that our medical shift changed. Not to mention, it was a Sunday, so everything, if you work on DOC, you work 3 days. And by that third shift on a Sunday evening, you are just tired, you're ready to go home. Maybe you're becoming a bit complacent and you're not on your A game. And unfortunately, that's whenever the stuff is going to hit the fan, like it did that day. So at this point, the dude's been unconscious for probably a good 3 to 5 minutes now, but it feels like so much longer. And then one of my fellow officers in there were 3 other officers. He goes and gets the little CPR mask, the little inflatable kind, and he brings it to me. He's like, I'm starting compressions. And I look at the poor guy, and he meant well. He really did. He meant really, really well. And I said, sir, he is still breathing. We're not cracking his ribs yet. And eventually, medics arrived. My superior officers, my major, and he's like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, he had a heat stroke, sir. And I tell y'all, I know I sound like I'm country as cornbread, but you got to keep in mind, this is like in a southern part of Louisiana where they all speak Cajun French. I do not speak Cajun French. I can read it and I can write it. I cannot speak it. And even if I did, it would sound like, I don't know, I was from Alabama or something. I don't know. It's really bad. So anyway, they get the guy to the infirmary and then to the hospital. A little bit later on, I find out if it had not been for my actions and what I did, the dude would have died. And this dude was a killer. I knew that he was there for murder. You're not supposed to know that, but you find these things out whenever you work at a place for a while. You got to know who you're around. What I didn't know is who he murdered or why he did it. And don't get me wrong, murder is wrong. I'm not advocating that by any means. But the person he murdered was raping one of his family members, a child. And whenever I found that out, it just kind of hit home. Like, we're all human. We all come from different walks of life. We all make mistakes. The only difference in a lot of us and people who are locked up is that they got caught and we didn't. And I pray for my kids each and every day. One bad decision will change your whole life. So anyway, that is my story from the DOC. I was definitely the minority, just being a a white female out there on the walk in a prison in South Louisiana. And I still miss working the DOC. It's just absolutely 100% in my blood. I'm not sure if I wasn't conceived on the B line. But yeah, I hope y'all like that story. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Cyndi and Woody, we love y'all. We're praying for y'all. You got a whole army of lifers behind y'all right now. If y'all need anything, reach out. And until next time or ever, don't let Woody catch you down on Murder Bayou.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?